And thank you for waiting until I was done eating my biscuit. I didn't think anybody could see me.
And I'm going to move Claudia and Cedric to the waiting room.
Yeah.
After I post it to YouTube. I didn't know if they'd want to. All right, there we are.
Thank you for waiting until I was done eating my biscuit. I didn't think anybody could see me. Oh. Does it start at 9 or 9:30, Brandon?
9, I think.
How come I thought it was 8:30? Am I like looking at
Well,
it?
I put 8:30 on the meeting start just because I wanted to get it,
Yeah, get it right before. Okay, then I wasn't totally crazy.
No.
Okay, let's see. So I can just copy and paste this and then send it to the enforcement officers in case there's questions. Oh. Go on there. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Email?
YouTube?
No.
Oh.
Zoom.
And what did it say?
Just send it to mine.
Oh, your cell phone, yes.
Send it to my cell phone. I tried to forward it to my cell phone, but it's not picking up.
Here.
And also send it to my personal and my agency.
I think, watch here, let me try something. Oh, wait. Over here, invite. This should pull you right in.
From my cell phone?
It should, I think.
Oh, there you go. Since you let me in, so.
Oh. I will.
There we go.
I'm going to put Cedric in the waiting room.
Right.
I did.
Um,
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir. I know.
Even on the YouTube.
Yeah, I just was on. Yeah, they can hear everybody. That's why I walked out there. That's why I walked out there.
Be able to see multiples on my cell phone. What, what if I go on my computer and just use the voice on my phone?
You can do that.
It'll just show me up there twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
Mhm.
Okay. We're recording also, just like we did before.
Mhm. Haven't started yet.
I don't have to put the recorder on.
No.
No.
Morning.
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
So you either have to turn your speakers on or
Got it. Done. Done.
all right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Well, I'm okay. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Me and this COVID's not working too well, guys. I have gained so much weight that it's not even funny. I hug my husband and I'm like, so do you like the rolls on my back? Do you like the belly in the front? You know, he doesn't answer. He just smiles. So I just don't know.
You're not by yourself. You're join the crowd.
I was thinking this morning, if it was 2005, before they had started making men's pants like with the stretchy material that they make, I would have to come to work in a sheet because that's all I would have to wear.
Like it's funny. I don't don't mind working at home, but it does make you eat a little bit hungry because especially if you got young kids. I don't have young kids, but I kept my 4-year-old niece just to keep her safe for a month. You know it, and your grandkids. It's like, whew, I ate so much. And I know you got little ones too, so I don't know.
Oh, I'm telling you, they eat 50 snacks a day.
Oh my God. And they waste over beyond, my husband, at the time we thought, oh my God, we're not going to get any food. They're going to shut the world down. My husband's like, no, you guys don't need to waste that. Y'all need to waste that. It was funny. All right.
On the weight situation, I accuse my wife of drying my clothes too much.
Washing them in hot water.
I
Right.
know.
Good morning, Commissioner Cummings.
Good morning.
morning.
Cynthia.
Hi.
Hi,
How
guys.
are you?
Good.
I'll wait till you give everybody an update. I'm sure everybody wants to know. You've been in our prayers, though.
I know. I really appreciate that. Thank you all.
Really have.
Yes.
Get out to this set on. You all see me on twice because I'm actually using 2 devices. The computer doesn't have a camera, so I'm using my cell phone and the computer. So you'll see my name.
Got 5 commissioners.
3, 4, 5. Need one more.
All right, I'm gonna hang up now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And you did get Rebecca?
Yes.
Yeah. We
Okay.
still need one more.
If you notice, my name has changed. I'm using my wife's computer, her laptop versus my iPad. M Coward. That's me.
I think it just shows up McCoward. I don't see Kim, but of course.
Hmm.
Ah, Rabbi, Commissioner Rabbi is here. Maybe.
Gosh, so many people are saying on, different boards and stuff I'm on that are reporting back from like the healthcare industry. And Kelly, you may hear the same, but this thing is expected to escalate in June. And then if it does, it won't ever go away, will it? I just want it to go away now. They're talking like this may be the new way we do business.
Yeah, I think it's certainly going to change things like this, meetings.
Well, I kind of like it though.
Well, I got a message, so I'm gonna try to make you.
Should I come back in or can I not come
It
back
should
in?
automatically take you back in.
I like it, Kim, because it's convenient.
I know. Like you won't believe how fast I got dressed, and you guys can only see half, so that's awesome,
Right.
I think we have a form now.
We do.
Should I let Mr. Paul weigh in?
Wait for the chair.
Now I'll never know what Alma's shoes look like, though.
I know, because I'm barefooted right now. Shot that image, didn't I?
Chair Randolph, when you let us know, we'll let the guest in whenever
Okay,
you.
we now have a quorum, right? We have a quorum.
Around me.
I'm hearing a lot of static.
Yeah.
So we now have a quorum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ask everyone to please put your phones on silent. Or if you're going to be typing or what have you, please mute. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Okay. We have established that we do have a quorum, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Confirmation of public notice.
Yes, it was sent on Monday.
And as far as public participation, I understand we have one guest.
Yes, we do. Roger Holloway, who's a former complainant of the commission.
Mr. Holloway. I don't think he's on yet.
He's joining now. I admitted him, and it should be.
Okay. Commissioner Suzak, is she? Okay, she's coming on now. Is he connected yet?
No, it says joining.
Okay. That's Tez.
Good morning.
Good morning.
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 And it looks like he has left the meeting. I think we're going to try to add him again. Just one moment.
Okay.
Brandon, who is our guest again?
Roger Holloway. And it looks like he is gone. I just resent the link to him.
Okay. I
If
think
you all
what we'll do is go ahead and move on. And if he rejoins later, we can just pause. Think it's okay? Okay, let's move on. We have the consideration of the approval of minutes for the April 16th, 2020 meeting. We have a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Nah.
second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Executive Director's Report.
Okay, on April 29th, 2020, we received correspondence from the State Budget Director, John Hicks, directing us to produce a reduction plan for the rest of fiscal year 2020, which ends on June 30th. And they asked us to produce a plan that would cut our budget by $20,100. And so we submitted that plan for the reduction of that amount. And you have a copy in your report, I believe, of their request for us to do the reduction. And we submitted that, and hopefully we won't have more than that by the end of the fiscal year. However, we do expect that we will probably have additional reductions to the fiscal year 2021 budget once everything kind of settles down and they make a determination of any losses that may have occurred because of COVID-19. Brandon is going to submit a report, an update as far as the budget reduction, a little bit more detailed as far as that's concerned. The Secretary of the Executive Cabinet, J. Michael Brown, issued a memo listing personnel hiring restrictions. However, we were able to send in an exemption request. And in that exemption request, we are allowed to continue to fill the two vacant positions that we had requisitions for, and that is the Staff Attorney 2 and the Enforcement Officer 1. We have completed the Staff Attorney 2 interviews. We submitted a qualification request to Frankfurt on our top 3 candidates. And then this morning, I received a record check verification for those 3 candidates. So we will be making a selection soon. There's still some things that need to be discussed with the chair and before we make up a offer to who we believe is a successful candidate. With that being said, we still have, I know that you all are completing or have completed the executive director interviews. We would still have the enforcement officer 1, and during her report, Erin will give you an update on the enforcement officer 1 position, and we have the executive secretary position still vacant.
Cynthia, if I can jump in a second here, just for clarification, on the, not the secretary's position, but the one prior to that, is that enforcement?
Enforcement officer 1.
Will we receive, or have we received an exemption to proceed on that, or will that be one that?
No, that was one of my requests, that we receive an exemption for the staff attorney 2 and the enforcement officer 1 position.
But not the secretary's position.
No, because we didn't have a requisition. We haven't requested to hire that position yet.
Okay.
So just for the 2 positions that we were in the works of trying to hire for, I asked for an exemption. If the freeze stays on, then it's determined that an executive secretary is going to be hired right away, and we'll ask for an exemption for that as well.
Okay. Okay. You probably already stated that. I'm sorry, I just didn't hear you.
No problem. No problem. As you all may know also, we are currently mandated to have masks in the office. And so all of our employees are wearing masks here in the office. We have individual offices, so for the most part, we're not keeping them on all day, but we are being very careful by the mandates and protocols that have been set forth by COVID-19 restrictions. I think that's about all I have. I've included many of the memos that we have received from Frankfurt as it pertains to COVID-19. And if you have any questions about the vacancies or the protocol, staff is still working on a staggered schedule. We are to be out of the office 75% of the time. At no time is there not one person here in the office. We always have someone here in the office, which is unlike some of the other state agencies who are working completely from home. They have that ability to work completely from home, but it seems to be working well. So we are still working on a staggered schedule. We'll continue to work on a staggered schedule. We will continue to not allow outside anybody other than staff into the building until we get word from the governor saying that we can do that. So. Any questions?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Any questions pertaining to Ms. Fox's report? Okay, I believe Mr. Holloway has now joined us. Am I correct?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Holloway, you will have 5 minutes to address the commission.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you. My goal is just to watch and see exactly how this important commission or department works. I work as a mortgage broker and a mortgage notary. I sign loans, and in my loan package, there is a form that whenever someone feel like they've been mistreated through race, creed, color, sexual origin, they can contact the Kentucky Human Rights Commission. And I never paid attention to it until I had to use the commission. In 2014, my mortgage license was revoked. I went to court and it was revoked because I did not pay a $712 fee. I went to court, I paid a fee. The Department of Financial Institutions, they refused to reinstate my license. I had to go to court. My license was reinstated because the Department of Financial Institutions did not follow the correct guidelines. So, but I was out of work for 3 months. During the 3 months, I lost my home. I filed a complaint, I placed a complaint, and with the Department of Financial, excuse me, with the Department of Human Rights Commission. And I guess my concern was the communication was a little off. I did not really understand my rights with that, and the questions I had was off. Uh, I'm over 40. I'm Black. I was the only mortgage department owner in the state of Kentucky. Um, I fit those two criteria. The problem I had was, again, number one was the communication, and number two is that I felt that I was the victim. I was trying to prove to the department uh, that I was the one that was the problem. Uh, if you look back at the records, uh, I'm the only person going back to 2004 that had the license revoked. Everyone else who had the license revoked, the Department of Financial Institutions refused to, uh, they talked to them, sat down, and they heard their side of the story. With me, there was zero tolerance. During that time, I had to wait 3 years to get my license reinstated. The problem I'm running into is I looked at the numbers, and I guess the numbers wasn't there. So I guess my question is, and I'm not gonna go back into the full story, but I'm just going to have some highlights. In December, my license was reinstated, but I lost my house. So in January, in February, I had to move from my house. March, my father had a heart attack. April, my mother was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. I had to move back to Hopkinsville to help with my parents. In July, my license was revoked again. So that's the reason why I had those issues. But the thing is, if you look at my record, I have never been in trouble in a day of my life. But I guess my whole problem is just the fact how the department treated me. I had to wait 3 years to get my license reinstated. When my 3 years was up, again, it was terrible. When my 3 years was up, the department went ahead and came up with something else by moving the goalpost, saying that, well, you have to wait 3.5 years. I waited an extra 6 months. I tried to get my license reinstated. Then when I tried to get my license reinstated, they moved the goalpost again by saying that my license was revoked for life. Last June, I was on the computer and I looked for somebody. I just went through the records. I saw where people actually did far worse things than what I've done. And they were just given a slap on the wrist. The problem I had was when I went and complained to the director directly, Mr. Johnson, he did listen to me, but he did not intercede anywhere. But I talked to one of the supervisors down there. I was told that I did not have a case. I guess the problem I had was I'm reinstated right now. I do not have my company back, but I'm trying to get my company back. But the concern I have is this is how I got my license back. I sent the email to the secretary of the Public Protection Department.
Okay, Mr. Holloway.
Yes, ma'am.
Your time is now exhausted, but let me jump in and ask this question. What resolution are you seeking at this point since your license have been reinstated? Is it to make the Board of Commissioners aware that you were not satisfied with the service you received?
I would like to have a review on my case because I just need 10 more seconds. The problem I have is that the NAACP of Hopkinsville, they interceded. They just ask questions. If the department asked the correct questions, like why was this person the only person that lost their license going back to 2004? Why is it you refuse to work with these person? I promise you that could have saved 4 years of heartbreak. But I guess my problem is the fact that I really do not know exactly what disparate treatment is because of if I'm Black only person going back to 2004 that lost their license. I would love to know the reason why. That's it. And again, if I jaywalked, you don't give me life in jail. And that's my point. When other people go ahead and commit capital crimes. And
When did you file this complaint?
I filed a complaint in 2016, and I talked.
I mean, like with our agent.
March, yes, in March of 2016. And I tried to file another complaint last year. And that's when I talked to one of the supervisors down there, and she said, well, there's not really anything they could do. Last June, that is. And I just looked at the numbers, and the numbers there, I can't. FBI has Kentucky being a top 10 racist state, but if you look at the numbers, I don't see any activity down there. And I'm good. I'm really good right now. But if you're going to have that department, I'm looking at the other people. I do not want another person to go through what I had to go through. So I would see exactly what do I need to do to get a review. If I can't get a review of my situation with the commission, I promise you, I'm back in business. I will hire a third party to look at this. And again, I'm just doing this because I love the state and I hate bullies. And I would refuse to allow somebody else to go through the stuff that I hate to do. Because honestly, I used to work at places where, and this is how I feel like, and where somebody would call in and they would have a problem, and the person is disturbed by reading their magazine, and the problem was not, the person just told no, hang up and finish reading the magazine. That's how I felt with this whole situation. And again, I'm 50 years of age. I've been around for a minute, and I know the difference between sincerity and insincerity. And I guess my main concern is when Mr. Johnson had a chance to intervene, just make a phone call and say, hey, why, just ask 2 questions. I promise you this thing would have been over with. It should not have taken a local person from the Hawkinsville NAACP to intercede with this.
So as I understand, I'm going to make sure that I'm comprehending accurately what you're stating is you feel that the lack of, if you will, effort on the previous director's part to intercede on your behalf by sending a letter or making a phone call delayed or subjected you to circumstances that you would not have been subjected to had our director interceded as you requested. Is that what you're alleging?
It should not even been to the last director. It should have been the investigator. It should have been in 2016. It should have been the supervisor I talked to in June of 2019. So the director, there's like 3 parts of it. There's the director, Mr. Johnson. I copied him in June of 2000. Excuse me, in August of 2019. But I personally went to the office and talked to one of the supervisors in June of 2019. So it's just not Mr. Johnson. It was the investigator and it was the supervisor, mainly the investigator, because of, again, if I'm the only person that had the license revoked, there has to be something there. There has to be something more there. Only person going back to 2004. And I show proof where people have done a whole lot worse than what I've done. And I guess the problem is, with the state of Kentucky, when I did get my license reinstated, there's a sheet on the Department of Financial Institutions website that is slander. It is wrong. It is they did not put the court that they lost the court case against me. So when I'm sitting back listening to these, watching the news where these businesses are going out of business for this COVID-19 for just being inactive for 2 or 3 weeks. What do you think? What happens if a business is inactive in 3 months? That's like Tanya Harding slapping Nancy Carrington on her knee and saying she can't skate. You can't cause injury, then use the injury you caused to take the person out. And that wasn't even discussed.
Chair Randolph, may I add?
Yes.
Mr. Holloway, I just want to thank you for your time, for coming and approaching us. You've definitely endured through some of the hardest times. I can't imagine having to go through that. And we are definitely here for you, to listen to you, to be aware of your concerns. I do have a question. You said you filed initially in 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
How did that complaint go about, or what was it closed? Was it or maybe Aaron, you can answer to that. How did that case go? And then you said you refiled last year in 2019, I assume.
It
Go
was.
ahead, Ms. Caller.
What's up? What's up?
They found no probable cause.
No probable
Oh,
cause.
it was not an MPC, it was a withdrawal. It was closed as a withdrawal, I believe, in 2017.
Okay.
And the reason for the withdrawal?
Yep.
I
There's
would
no
have to look
probable
back.
cause. The department found no probable cause, so I withdrew it. I had a choice, and that's the point that I was trying to get across. I did not have the support of the commission with that.
So Aaron, from my understanding, do you guys send letters beforehand that you found no probable cause
Yes.
before it gets to us?
Yes, we sent a letter saying that there was not substantial evidence to make a determination in your case. So your case is going to be closed. And then they also, I believe at that time, we were doing an MPC letter, is what we called it, and no probable cause letter, where we also put a withdrawal form. So if they chose to withdraw their form, withdraw it, they could.
Okay. Okay.
And again, only person going back to 2004 that had their license revoked. The state, they met with everyone except me, zero tolerance. And they moved the goalposts. And I guess that's the thing that bothers me. If I told you you're suspended for 1 week, you wait 1 week, you come back to work, they say, well, you can't do it again. I mean, we're going to give you another week. Then you go back another week, they're going to say, well, guess what? You're fired. It's either has to be one thing or another. And there's more stuff in my case. They call the police on the state trooper when I come. It's like me complaining to you. You don't want to hear from me. They call the state troopers. The stuff that they did and lied, it's basically Jim Crow. Because if they use their power to try to keep me quiet. And again, would like to see a review. And if not, I requested some information. I'm going to go to a third party to get this review because of, again, if I have issues, and I guess the problem is I have friends who are attorneys, they left when I told them about I was going to the commission because they said, good luck. One of those things where you're not going to get anything done. And again, one phone call. As a mortgage broker, I'm just dealt with somebody from Pulte building. Their company made a mistake. I had one phone call. I just asked a couple of questions. Guess what? Pulte, they went ahead and they worked with the customer because they knew they were wrong. There's investigations and there's questions you can just ask. I worked with the Department of Financial, I worked with Park the Ball with the first 200 homes out there. I worked with the city for 4 years. Whenever I had a problem that could easily be solved, I just called to ask a couple of questions. It could have easily been squashed because when somebody's watching, people will act right. It did not.
Mr. Holloway, I'm going to ask Ms. Fox to jump in here just in a second, but before doing so, is there also an appeals process? And I'm not suggesting by any means that if there is, that we shouldn't still respond to your inquiry, but did you file an appeal with the state as well regarding how the situation was handled?
Okay, this was an administrative issue. So whenever you deal with administrative issues, there's a timeline. So the attorneys that I had to deal with, they did not want to deal with me unless I had like $5,000, $6,000.
But my question is, did you file an appeal?
No, I didn't. And that's the reason why I had to go to the state, because I did not have the funding to fight this. They financially starved me, which is a tactic that companies do to small companies.
Okay, Ms. Fox, would you care to jump in here?
Yeah, I wasn't involved when Mr. Holloway was coming in. I will say that. However, I did just want to specify, Chair, I provided you with some information regarding Mr. Holloway and his case. We are working with him now to get some information that he has requested from an open records request. We have provided him information in the past from an open records request. I apologize for the lack of communication or miscommunication as far as our process, our investigative process. I believe that Ms. Spalding has sent you now some information that kind of explains the flow chart and how things work in an investigation. I understand what you're saying as far as there could have been something said or done initially, even before you were told verbally or in writing that there was nothing that the agency could do. Just as clarification, when we receive complaints of investigation and they go to our investigators, those investigators are working as neutral fact finders. And so they're not working to advocate for anyone specifically. They're only advocating for the law. And so what they're looking at specifically is to find out if there appears to be evidence or information that supports your allegations that the laws that we are directed to enforce by statute have been violated. And many times, I will say, it's a narrow view, because the only thing that they're looking for is to see if the laws that we enforce, the agency enforces, have been violated. And so again, many times they will not take up the banner for a cause to advocate for, even if some things aren't fair or they're not right or they're unethical. The only thing they're looking for specifically is if there's a violation of the statutes, the laws that we have been directed to enforce. So again, I apologize for any miscommunication that you felt that you received. And we will continue to work with you as far as the open records requests that you have requested. So.
And again, it's not, I'm not asking for anyone to advocate on my behalf. I just want fairness. And my question is, again, how is it that you can go back to over 1,000 enforcement actions and I'm the only one who got zero tolerance and had license revoked. And I guess when you move the goal line, that was my major concern. You're moving the goal line, saying 1 week or 3 years, then 3.5 years, then for life. If that's not disparate treatment, and again, I have gone to other people. I have a buddy of mine that just retired from the Hopkinsville Human Rights Commission. Carolyn was a friend of mine, but she was with the Louisville. It was in the jurisdiction. The state did it. And the point is, if those two work at the Human Rights Commission, and Bernard Standard, by the way, if those two work for the Human Rights Commission and they say, well, so the two things were questions that should be asked. And that's why I asked the summary. How is that this person is the only person that lost a license based on the other people that have done the same exact thing? And again, moving the goalposts. When you move the goalposts in 3 years, then come up 3.5 years, making up lies on the statutes and not being called on it, those guys, they're not scared of you. And I guess my concern is it's other people. So I would like to, there has to be something that this doesn't have to be in.
We'll look into it a little bit more. I am in possession of the packet of information that Ms. Fox has submitted. This certainly isn't to say that we can reopen the case for any reason, but we will certainly look into it and then try to get back in touch with you in writing. Do we have a valid address on you?
Yes, ma'am. And again, it's over with. I have my license back. I'm in the process of getting my company back. I'm not trying to sue or do anything. I just want to make sure that the process is better. That is it. I'm looking out for other people. And when I look, I guess my problem is when I look at the records of enforcement actions, it's like, really? Because of I had the resources and I was exhausted. And I know there's others. That's all. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Is he now disconnected? Think so?
He can still continue to view like everyone else on YouTube, but he is
Hello?
disconnected from the Zoom, but he can still see us
Right.
on YouTube. Yes.
Okay.
And meeting on YouTube.
All right, so I have the packet of information that you submitted, so then just go back and review again. I mean, I don't know, it's,
I'm not sure
I'm not sure what we can do, you know, other than.
If you would share with the commissioners the information that I provided to you, you'll see some part of his case, information from Linda Horseman and from Keith Dorr that kind of explain what happened in the process.
Yeah, if everyone can see, this is a pretty thick package of information. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
We'll get it to.
Yeah, I think it's too much for us to try to.
Can I ask a question, Chair?
Yes.
So it seems like, from my understanding, correct me, Ms. Fox or Ms. Spalding, I'm assuming there's nothing that can really be done. I don't think was he complaining about the outcome of it, or was he complaining about how it was done? I'm still trying to get clarification. And even at that, we can't really do anything. I think he was just trying to confront operational issues that he felt like he wanted to raise awareness for.
Yeah, I think that you're correct. I think that he was concerned about the process and the lack of what he felt was a lack of communication and the reasoning, and maybe not fully understanding the reason for why the actions were taken that were taken. And as he has said, and continues to say, that he just wants to make sure that a good process is in place to serve the people that come to our office. Right. Is so that, in his words, that, you know, they're not receiving the same treatment or going through the same things that he went through.
Okay, gotcha. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting the right message as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Did you want to, you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. So let me ask this question to Ms. Spalding or Ms. Fox, or both. If we conducted a review of his case again, is that possible, or has so much time passed by that I see Ms. McWilliams is shaking her head no? So are we beyond that point?
I believe so. I believe we're beyond the statute of limitations. Okay. And I don't know, I mean, you can review the case, but he withdrew the case. So there wasn't an actual determination made.
But I think he's saying he withdrew the case because he was told that it wasn't valid. So I guess
that it was going to be an MPC, yeah.
Yeah, that was MP. So, you know, if I filed a case and then the investigators informed me that it wasn't valid and then I withdrew it, I mean, I get that, but he's also questioning whether or not it was actually reviewed as it should. Fairly. So although the statute has passed, I think maybe it would be a good move on our part just to review it again, just for internal purposes, so that if that ball was dropped, that we can make certain it doesn't happen again. And maybe I'm out in left field on that. I'm exhausted.
I agree. I agree with that, Alma. I think that's a good approach.
I think it's fair to him too, especially with the concerns that he has. I think it's fair that we would be able to review that.
Anyone else feel differently?
I'd like to just add that I think it'd be good to review it. I think sometimes these licensure boards don't feel like they have any oversight. And I've seen in many cases with different licensure boards, there be a lot of inconsistencies. I'm not saying that for all of them, but I can tell you from having friends that are lots of different professions that go before those, being an attorney, having them calling and talking to me, there's a lot of inconsistency. And I think it wouldn't hurt us to review this, because this is something that's concerning me, that if nobody else had the same treatment he did in that many years, that to me is discretion that we need to make sure is not being abused.
Yeah. And if it's determined that indeed happened after the review, I believe we could have the director to draft a letter on behalf of the commission acknowledging that this was disturbing to us. He's saying he wants to make certain that this doesn't happen to anyone else in the future. And if that's accurate, I agree.
If I could quickly say two things. Number one, in a macro sort of way, the power of a phone call, especially from our organization, even if it's not something that we're able to intervene in, I think can be incredibly powerful with the name that we bear. I know that in my work.
Okay, someone needs to mute because I'm having a hard time hearing you. Okay, go ahead.
When I'm on campus and a student is having an issue with a professor, just the very fact of me calling can have a tremendous ability to help. Number two is that if someone has come with a seemingly, at least legitimate claim and has left extremely unhappy, I think there might be worth looking into how that was conveyed to them that left them 5 years later still upset that they don't feel that we were interested in helping them. So I think that might be something worth looking into. Examining practices, if not the actual law in this case.
Okay, so Ms. Fox, would you see that we move forward on this and just stay in touch with me on?
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask one thing? Yes, when something is past the statute of limitations, so you guys go back and review a case that is past the statute of limitations, or are you guys saying that Mr. Holloway would need to fill out something else? I guess I'm trying to prevent our staff from some degree of, if a case is closed. Aaron, do you see what I'm saying? If a case
I don't know if he could refile anything else because he's probably outside of the statute of limitations. He does have time though to take it to court if it's within, I believe, 5 years. So he does have that option. And I believe that Keith and Linda both explained that to them, because over this summer in July, I believe it was June through August, when he contacted the agency, I believe both Keith and Linda, if I'm not mistaken, reviewed everything and wrote up some really good stuff on what they found. But yeah, I mean, he could get a private attorney.
So basically with him filing initially in April of 2016, he has 5 years that he could file through state court. So actually he has until April of next year.
I believe so, yeah.
File discrimination, in state court. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Randolph, I'm sorry, can I add?
Sure.
In the beginning, when we accept minutes, Ms. Fox, I think that the organization of it is really good. And I didn't know the proper time to just, I just want feedback from other commissioners as well. And it's just what kind of helps me process all of this easier when I review notes. Where we have sections that talk about like new business or other business, little sections that really help. It's really hard for me after our meetings too, and we get our meeting notes to follow kind of our action items of the next commission we request, you know, more information about this case or follow up on something that we would need to follow up on next month. Even though it's all in one and it flows through the timeline of our meeting. Do you understand what I'm saying? I would love a section that says like action items of where if we ask the commission for something that we're going to be able to follow up on next month, where that would be listed. Because it's hard to go through all of it and say, oh yeah, we asked for this. Oh yeah, we asked for this. I would love a separate section that says feedback from Mr. Holloway's case requested. Requested to pull this case and look for next month. Like anything that we will have to look at next month or any action items. I would love for there to be a section that would be so much easier than to go through all the wording and have to keep remembering what we're asking for next month. If that's too complicated, please let me know, but that would definitely benefit. And I, you know, I'm open to any commissioners if you object.
I also think even if it's not a separate list, at the end of the section, which might be easier at the end of the section, just have action item. And so after we read through the section, then that way you don't have to recreate a list unless you copy and paste that into a list at the end. But maybe at the end of, like at the end of legal unit or new business, does that make sense? That might be an easier.
And we can do that. The minutes, how we've been doing the minutes is how I've been doing the minutes and been able to do the minutes is just strictly by the recordings and taking them from the recording. However, if you look even at the last month's executive director report and this month's director report, at the end, it has updates and action items. And so I've tried to pull out the information from whatever those minutes and those recordings are and have them on my report and to meet with each staff person to make sure whoever was supposed to provide something, it has those action items that were expected for the next commission meeting to be ready for the next commission meeting. However, if you want me at the end of the minutes to do like a little summary of the action items for the next meeting, that's fine.
Okay, yes. And the thing is with the executive director list, I guess I just assume that that's something we're asking directly from you. But wherever you have it, as long as I'm just aware that it's an overall list.
Okay. Do we have any more comments regarding Mr. Holloway's request or pertaining to the minutes? I mean, not the minutes, but the director's report. Okay, we'll move to budget and personnel. Mr. Ross. Unmute.
Good call.
Thank you.
You have my report before you. I didn't include the addendum on my action items. A couple reasons. I have the travel breakdown completed and just recently formatted it in a meaningful way this morning. I can share that with you all. And the projected personnel costs will be much more meaningful in 7 days because we plan on making a move with the staff attorney and other personnel decisions that would make the numbers much more accurate. So I plead that in 7 days, I can send out a narrative and the numbers and you all can look at it and we can go from there if that's acceptable. Allow me to share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the travel breakdown for this fiscal year. I believe On the next page, it would be the total of E362 and E361. In-state and out-of-state travel. Now, as we discussed, I'm no longer including parking in the travel, so that's going to be now under E399 other. So that'll change the numbers for next year. Does anyone have any specific questions about this?
I do. On this page, does it also include the commission? Does it include the board members' travel?
It does. That's commission travel. And then the first category is commission and staff. The way it was paid, it was commingled for the Hall of Fame event. So I couldn't really tease that apart without, I mean, I could, but it would be difficult. And then I broke out the travel for each section: general admin, enforcement, legal, and outreach.
Historically, are you kind of seeing, is that about the average number? Are we on point when you look at commissioners' travel, or does it appear a little high? Or?
So I think we're pretty close. It looks like, because that would be all in-state travel. And at this point last year, as you can see on the second page of my report, we were at 25,800 and we're at 29,591. So it's about a $4,000 increase, but we've had a significant activity that commissioners have had to travel for in the past 4 months.
Brandon, what all is in commission travel? Is that hotel, mileage, and meals?
That is correct, and parking. Not the per diem.
So the 16,000 is so far for this year?
That's correct.
So if we're halfway through the year, which I know we're doing Zoom and all that now, but does that mean that we would be somewhere around 32 at the end of the year?
That's fiscal year. This will be through June 30th. So
all right.
I expect that number, because we're doing Zoom, to be pretty static through June 30th.
Right.
So that's, you know, I think you could probably expect 17.5 through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I will say this, and just off the top of my head without thinking through it, but I'd love to see the legal travel go up because we're trying to get cases resolved. Which means if we got to travel out in the state to do the hearings and, or, you know, get these cases adjudicated, that would be great.
I agree. That's the type of travel that it would be a good problem to have. You're right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So within 7 days, I will send information on the projected personnel costs for 2021 and how the vacancies that we're filling will relate to that.
We have any more questions for Mr. Ross? All right, we will move on.
Thank
you. Unit, Ms. Spalding, you're on.
All right, y'all have my report. Is there any questions within my report that y'all have? If not, I'll go on to the cases. For the cases this month, we have 36 cases that we have submitted for your review. Of those 36 cases, we have 1 dismissal without prejudice, 1 reconsideration dismissal, 20 no probable cause dismissals, 6 withdrawals, and 8 withdrawals with settlements. Do y'all have any questions on any of the cases?
No questions? Well, this is historical, Ms. Spalding.
I had to check and make sure I wasn't on mute.
Like, yeah. Okay. Is that it?
I do have one question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I would be that person. It's just a general question. When you cannot get a hold of the complainant, I see you do list by phone or by mail. Do you ever send certified mail, or do you just send it by a stamp?
No, we usually have a process where we'll call a couple times. If they do not call, then we will send a 10-day letter. This is what we call it. This says, please contact us within 10 days or your case will be closed. And then we do usually send those certified.
Okay. So on one of the cases, I won't point it out to you, but you weren't able to get a hold of the complainant. So you withdrew, you're requesting to withdraw the case. But you were able to speak to the complainant's representative, who told you that they reached a private settlement prior to y'all's withdrawing it. So how does that go about, where the respondents or complainant's representatives aware and is in contact? I don't know, it just kind of doesn't really make sense.
That case was a little bit different. That was a housing case. And the complainant went through their housing representative, the Lexington Fair Housing Council, I believe was their representative, and filed the complaint. Once she signed the complaint and then mailed it back, there was a little bit, I don't want to say it wasn't a delay. It was, got to get a time to get it mailed here. And then it goes through our process here where we enter it into the database and then we send it to be filed. So within those few little days, the complainant and the respondent came to an agreement in which they both agreed on, and it settled the case. Now, then once it got to the investigator, they were no longer able to reach the complainant, but the complainant's representative did verify that they did come to an agreement. And hold on, I have Cedric right here. He was the investigator on the case.
Oh, no, it's okay. What I'm wondering is, so I guess what you're trying to say is that there was a gap between the complainant's representative speaking to the complainant that there was a private settlement. There was a gap between that conversation and once it got to you guys and you're trying to figure out how to get a hold of the complainant. Am I catching on that by the time it got to you guys weren't able to contact the complainant? It's not a big deal, but no, I'm curious how there was a gap.
By the time it got to, she signed it. From the day she signed it and then mailed it to us, it gets to the commission, and then it takes us a few days to get it entered into our database in the intake phase to say that we received it, it's being forwarded to legal to be filed, and then it was filed. So there can be some days in between the time that the complainant signed it and the time that it was actually filed. In that time from when she signed the complaint to where it was filed and given to an investigator, they already agreed and settled the complaint. So when the investigator got the complaint, he reached out to the complainant and was unable to reach her at that time. I guess maybe she thought it was over because they had already come to an agreement with the respondent. But the investigator was able to reach her representative, and they did confirm that the complainant and the respondent settled the case, and both parties were happy with that. So we withdrew the case as a settlement from what HUD told us to do. HUD said, since it's settled, go ahead and do it as a withdrawal with settlement, even though you can't get a hold.
I guess my only concern was that we haven't had direct contact with the complainant on us with wanting to withdraw, but their representative has been able to have contact with the complainant. So that is my only concern. Is we have situations like Mr. Holloway where they complain about lack of communication, or, you know, and it's nothing towards you guys, but the way, when I see this case, I see, okay, we're in communication, we're able to get confirmation through the respondents, I mean, the complainant's representative, but we're not in direct contact with the complainant. And I understand you guys haven't been able to reach them, but I'm saying, you know,
actually,
further down the line, the way it looks is this, oh, we didn't directly speak to the complainant, but it's going to be withdrawn.
No, and then I will say this, I got Cedric here, he was an investigator. He was able to get in touch with the complainant as well. So he spoke to the complainant and the complainant's representative.
Okay, then I would want to put that here in the report before we vote on it for withdrawal, that we contacted and we're in contact with the complainant, so that we make sure we're able to secure that we have been in communication and that they are aware that their case is going to be drawn.
Okay.
Is everyone understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point, especially in light of Mr. Holloway on earlier, Rebecca.
I'm sorry, I got Cedric here talking to me as well.
Oh, it's okay. I just, I want to make sure that we're securing that communication process, so that that's no longer a gap, or in some, you know, complainant's eyes or the public's eyes, that it's our lack of communication between the commission, the agency, and complainant.
Good point. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Question.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Erin, can you give us an update if on whether or not any progress has been made as it relates to case where we have the $14,000 check that we've been trying to locate the complainant?
We were not able to reach her. Brandon, what did we end up doing? Did we send the check back to the state where they can hold it, or do we have to send it to the individual for them to send? That was a Heidi Erickson settlement.
Brandon, you're on mute still.
Still on mute.
My computer just completely shut down. I missed the last 3 minutes.
We were talking about the Heidi Erickson settlement that we have received, but we could not locate her.
That's right.
What did we do with that check? Did we send that to the state or back to the respondent for them to send to the state?
Yes. Well, the check is now stale because it's gone beyond 108 days. I spoke with the title company that paid the check. It's a third party, and left a message for their general counsel that they would need to send it to the treasurer for unclaimed property. We could not do that because the check was not in our name. So I've got the check in my office.
So we had talked about retaining an investigator, but not to exceed $500 in paying for those services. So are we moving forward?
Oh, you're speaking on another case. The $14,000 check was a Heidi Erickson case from years ago where the respondent, I believe, filed bankruptcy. I believe you're speaking about the Anybody's Diner case with the special investigator. So that's, I'm sorry, the check that I mentioned was another case.
Oh, okay. Okay. I wasn't aware of that one. So what about Anybody's Diner?
If you recall, I sent out some information to you and Commissioner Futrell about some guidance that I received and regarding that. And what was asked for us to do is for an investigator, one of our investigators, to make sure that the complainant does not have property in Frankfurt, that they were going to review that. And so Erin has been informed to have one of her investigators look through that to see if she has any property, because that was the next step that they said before we actually pay for an investigator, because if she has property, we'll be able to find her that way. Right. So I believe it was PVA. Was that what it was?
PVA. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that was that. So that was separate than the check that we have for the complainant that we can't find.
So it's actually, there's two different issues regarding checks that we're needing to.
The other is not a check.
It's
The
not,
other,
the other one's not a check. I thought Aaron just said.
Commissioner Cummings, if you can clarify this, I think anybody's diner has to deal with enforcing whatever action was determined in the hearing. The Heidi Erickson has a check here that we can't find her. The other case does not deal with the case. It has to do with actually the order and being able to enforce the order and not knowing her address. So those are two different things. And what was said is basically that there was an order presented, but Altita, was it that you had said initially at the last commission meeting that we could not enforce it or do the order without an address for her? Is that correct? For you have to take your
Cynthia, I can talk to it.
yes, Commissioner Cummings can, because yes.
Yeah,
But
so-
even if the point is this, even if we got her address, if she doesn't own any property, we can't attach any kind of property of hers to get money back, to get anything. So she doesn't have anybody's diner anymore, and we haven't, it doesn't seem like she has any real estate either. So
we haven't
would
checked.
just be spending money and have nothing to attach the judgment to.
Well, yeah, so do we have to know that that she does have property? And if that's the case, have we checked with the PVA to see if there's any property that's under that name?
That's
what
the guidance.
Cynthia?
Aaron did that.
Yeah, Cynthia, I sent you an email. I don't know if you got it. I did check the PVA in Franklin County because some of Frankfurt is in Franklin County and Shelby County. I have searched all over the PVAs. I did not find anything that was specifically owned by her. I did find someone that was, and I'm not sure if it's her, was owned by, look like a husband and wife. And she shared the same name as the respondent in this case. I'm not sure if it was the same person. I've also searched Facebook to kind of find out, what area she was in. We did find her on Facebook. And I kind of broke, Cynthia, I believe I sent you an email where I broke it down, all the findings that you can send it to the commissioners if you want. But I found one address that was shared with a male, so I'm not sure if that is the complainant or not. I went back and even listened to the hearing minutes to see if she stated anywhere in the hearing what her address was. Sometimes when they have someone in a hearing, they'll have their name and make them state their name and address for the record. I didn't find that in there. And I think both me and Altita both listened to the hearing to see if she said if she owned any property, and we couldn't find any information out there either that she owned anything.
Okay, so what's the chances of us getting an investigator to track her down or track down this information and see exactly what property they have so that we can do the
Now, Linda asked her something similar to that, and she didn't seem to have anything.
yeah, that's not the question. The question I'm asking is, who can we bring in that'll track that down for us so we can get that judgment set in that court for that county?
I'm saying if you spend $500 or $1,000 and we find where she is, if she has no property, what are we gonna attach?
That's fine, but at least we would have exhausted any means of bringing justice for the complainant. At this point, I don't want to say I'm willing to throw in the towel because we can't figure out what property they own. Let's go figure it out. And if that requires an investigator or somebody else to come out, this is just my opinion, so I'm not speaking for the rest of the commission, but if it requires getting an investigator or some other process in place to make that happen, Let's make it happen. And yeah, if it costs us 500 or 1,000, I don't care. I don't think that's a large enough amount to say that we did justice for the complainant in this particular case. I don't know if anybody else has had experience with this before. I think Adam's off right now, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Adam was the one that recommended that we get an investigator, but sometimes they can be a little costly, he said.
Oh, he's Commissioner Futrell's back on.
Yeah, I've been on. I just had the video off. If she lacks real property, it's usually very difficult to collect the judgment unless we happen to know her bank relationship and we want to garnish her bank account. We probably don't have that information. That might be something that a private investigator could turn up for us. If we hire the private investigator, we would have some certainty that she doesn't have real property, because typically those folks come back with a report that's pretty comprehensive as to what they have and don't have. To me, it seems reasonable to spend a few $100 to find out if she has anything we can attach. But if we've called the PVA offices in the relevant counties, that's a pretty strong indicator that she doesn't have anything. I think the bigger question is, do we want, as a future practice, to require complainants to go enforce our orders, or do we want to enforce our orders ourselves? And that's a bigger philosophical question. I don't think the statute dictates to us one way or another. I think it's up to us to decide what we want the practice to be. Obviously, enforcing our own orders is more expensive and time consuming, but it's much better for victorious complainants. If we leave it in the hands of the complainants, we're probably going to issue a lot of orders that don't ever get enforced.
And if we create a pattern of not enforcing our orders, then the decisions of the commission will not mean anything. I mean, on my end, if we're not doing that for those that we are trying to find justice for, there's not all of our folks, but a lot of the folks we're serving may not have access to the justice system, like the individual we heard from earlier who didn't have $5,000 to hire an attorney. And what happens to a lot of people is they get the cost of justice. They don't have the way to access it because they don't have the funds, and then they don't get justice. So I think that's got to be something we do if we want our decisions to mean anything. And a lot of the bad actors in some of these kind of cases, let's say housing cases, if you've got a group in a city that has members that are all landlords, you fail to enforce it. Don't think that reputation won't get out of there, and when their friend gets a complaint, they'll just call and say, "Don't worry about that. They're not going to enforce that. Don't worry." So,
we have always enforced our orders. The only ones that we don't do are the mediation, because it's an agreement between two parties, and those two parties are the ones agreeing. We're just here to facilitate. But if we have a hearing, if we have a conciliation, we enforce those orders. We appeal cases. We would look for, if we could serve a judgment on the person. That is what we do here. We wouldn't just leave the people get an order and not do anything with it.
So it sounds like we may have a new process here when we can't track it down, as long as the commission is in agreement, the board's in agreement, that we'll spend the money maybe to have somebody track down the information that we need if we want to serve a judgment.
Yeah, that's new now. I've never known us to, I don't think we've ever had this problem. It's been it's quite a few of them that we have now, but in the past, we never had to do that. People usually pay,
Yeah.
So it would be new to hire investigator.
May I also add, just coming from more of a preventive side, because from my understanding, we are running into this issue of not being able to contact complainants, them disappearing, preventing us from having to go through this again and spend funds doing it. And not only that, but just delaying the process of justice for these complainants because we can't find them or contact them. I think
It's
it
the
would be
respondent.
either or. I think it would be important for us to implement, or just like any other healthcare, or when you're applying for something, an emergency contact or an additional contact in case we can't contact you type of thing, that should be implemented so that we can have additional contact information and we won't be left out looking for them. How would that turn out, or how would that look? It may not have to be something that's public, but for the investigators to be able to obtain, I think it would be very important.
We already get that information. We get alternate numbers, we get alternate people that we can contact if we can't get a hold of them. So we already do get several phone numbers on complainants, email addresses. In the case with Anybody's Diner, that it's a respondent who fell off there, who kind of disappeared after she got a settlement against her that she didn't want to pay, I believe. But for the complainants, we always get in several numbers. It's in our intake forms, and we have them in the investigation as well as actually in our questionnaire, who's an alternate person we can contact if we can't reach you. So we've been getting that information for a long time. Sometimes complainants file and I don't know what happens. They no longer want to pursue their case. But our investigators do go through, we don't just close it out because we can't find them.
What about,
but we do need to.
So go ahead. Sorry.
What about home address and business address?
All that, email addresses, all of that.
For respondent.
For the respondent, yes. We even have registered agent addresses in there for respondents. With the Anybody's Diners case, hers was a little bit different. She never certified her business with the state. So that made it, because I also looked there as well. And then when we went back to the hearing, I believe that was discussed in the hearing that she never even certified her business. Linda did ask her that.
Did we have a home address for her?
We have an address in the file, and then I did find an address in Shelby County. I'm not sure if it's her. Like I said, it belongs to her, female and a male. I mean, I don't know if she's married or what her marital status is, but it looks like it was a married couple in Shelby County that had the respondent's same name. But I don't know if she's married. I don't know what her.
I may have dreamed this, but is this the same lady that made the comment at a hearing that she was going to disappear?
I believe so.
After, okay.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Erin. That definitely gives me more insight on, we're not just trying to call one number or one address. I definitely think that's a great approach that you guys are taking. So good job.
Do we have any more questions for Erin?
So could I just get clarification as far as this situation is? You do want us to proceed with the Anybody's Diner with the private investigator?
Yeah, I'll make the motion if everybody wants me to.
I'll second that motion.
I think we made a motion, had a motion.
I'll make a motion. Are you
Okay,
Chair about, go ahead, sorry.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't a motion made during our last meeting where, as if we felt that an investigator was needed, we authorized the staff to spend up to $500? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So is there a need for another motion then, since we already have that?
No, I just wanted clarification that you wanted us to go forward after we received the information about the PVA, that you want us to go forward. And you did answer that. They did answer that we want to go forward.
Okay. So we won't need another motion as a result, because we already have one in place. The only difference is it was authorizing staff to spend up to $500, and I believe Commissioner Cummins mentioned going beyond that if necessary. So we just need to decide, do we stay with that motion, limiting it to $500, or do you all want to extend that or amend it?
I don't know. In your experience, do you think it needs to be higher than that?
No, and I think limiting it to 500 might give us some leverage. With, you know, if somebody wants to get 750, we could say, look, well, I'm only authorized to pay 500, and I bet we'll find somebody to take that.
Okay.
Ms. Spalding, were you able to grab a hold of that case? I was talking to you about Cedric, about communicating with the complainant. I'd like to make a motion for you guys to pull that and update it. If you're
Okay.
aware of the exact case that I'm talking about, it's going to be, I don't know how you guys are wanting us to refer to the cases by name or number.
Name is fine.
It's going to be Deborah Puckett versus Danny, I think it's Igo or Ego, in Tree Haven.
194, okay. So you want us to pull the case and include?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for us to pull that case and for the investigator to update the communication with the complainant, being aware that her case is going to be withdrawn.
So you want us to add that information to the front page of that CRT?
Just add it to the whatever the case is. It's on the case summary is where it's identified that they've had no contact with the complainant.
Okay. Let me double check with Cedric real quick because he's at the door trying to tell me something about this case. So hold on.
And you don't have to vote to pull the case. You just, when you all vote on the cases that you're accepting, you're going to say that you're voting, you're going to make a motion to vote on the cases minus whatever cases that you're asking to be pulled.
Okay.
Oh, my fault. Now I'm off mute. Cedric did come. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Cedric did come clarify that he did not directly speak with the complainant. She left a voicemail on his phone, and that they have sent her certified letters and left messages for her. And the only callback they got was from the voicemail she received. So do you want us to update that and just say that the attempts that we've made to contact her?
I mean, if he hasn't spoken to her, then no. But I mean, you mentioned he said he did speak to her directly.
Yeah,
now he's saying he didn't. So, I mean, as long as it's true to what he investigated and he really didn't find any way to speak to the complainant, then that's fine. But if he did, then it needs to be in there.
Yeah, and that was my fault. I had him at the door and this goes, so I was trying to do two things. But yeah, he said that he had sent several certified letters and I guess she has moved because she's no longer in the state and it got bounced around. But she did call back and leave him a voicemail, but he has not been able to directly speak with her.
Okay, yep, just whatever is true to his investigation.
Yeah, so saying that he has not been able to contact complainant by phone or mail would be correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we also have to get a vote on the cases.
Yeah, do we have any, let's see if we have any more questions first. Do we have any questions? Okay, do we have a motion to accept our report?
So moved.
Second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Education and outreach.
Okay. Good morning. Do you all have any questions about the report, which is in your book? And it doesn't require a vote.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Mary Ann, I got a question.
Sir. Okay.
Is there anything you would like to highlight out of your report?
No, not particular. Well, only Mayfield, Mayfield. They were at one point a pretty active commission, but in the last year, no one has stepped up and actually wanted to serve as commissioner. And so that local commission is now defunct. And they really have tried to find folks to serve and they just couldn't. So they're now kind of switching over to supporting the new NAACP director that they have down there. And that's pretty much it. You know, with us working the amended schedules, I have seen a drop in the number of calls that we're getting. We have seen COVID calls that are coming, and we are reminding each other and reminding folks as they call that even if their issue is COVID related, it may not necessarily be jurisdictional for us. You know, it still has to be as a discrimination as a result of their protected class. But we are making a lot of referrals to OSHA, just a lot of referrals to community action, a lot of referrals to Department of Labor that are COVID related. And that's the only other thing I would add.
On Mayfield, did we provide funding to those guys for their commission?
No, we do not provide funding to local commissions. Local commissions are established through city and county ordinances, and those city and counties provide funding.
Okay, all right.
I do have a question, Ms. Taylor, on your report. When I review the education and outreach report, I see a whole lot of, I guess, partnership with Covington Partners. On April 6th, it says that Mr. Fisher made a financial donation to Covington Partners, a nonprofit agency. It goes on to say that they have school programs with the Covington Public Schools, distributing food and whatnot. He's a part of the board of directors and everything. So my only question is, what is our initiative working with Covington Partners on advancing the Human Rights Commission mission and education and outreach in this aspect? I'm referring to, can you explain that to me?
I can, but that was a very lengthy question. So our initiative is that when John works with these committees there in Covington, because he is there, his office is there, a lot of times he's doing training. A lot of times he is just mentoring kids, working with kids, starting to educate them early on about what their human and civil rights are. I debated whether or not to even include that particular paragraph in this report. A lot of times when John is in these meetings, when he is training and mentoring and talking about human and civil rights, he is acting, as an education outreach person. When he's making donations or whatever, serving as a board member, he is not doing that as a commissioner staff. He is doing that as an individual. But he is our human rights person, who has an office there
in Covington. So. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So when he works with
on behalf of
when he works with Covington Partners, he's working one-on-one with youth and educating them on their civil rights and human rights. And then when he's doing financial stuff or even being a part of the board of directors, he's not doing that. Under the commission.
That's correct. That's correct.
Gotcha. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Alma, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. All right, thank you, Ms. Taylor. So next up is Ms. McWilliams to give the legal report.
You all see the report. If you have any questions, I'll be welcome to answer.
Ms. McWilliams, one of the questions I guess I would have to ask, and you don't have to answer it right now, is there some way we can get a report that shows cases that are getting close to?
Excuse me?
Is there a way we can get some type of report that shows us which cases are getting close to their end of life? In other words, they've been sitting out there so long that even if we took it to court, it probably would get thrown out because of the amount of time that it's taken.
Well, each case that's listed in here, I put a sentence at the end to tell about it. You mean if, I don't know if any cases actually, it's already been filed, so it hasn't lost its statute of limitation. So I guess we'll still try to have to take it to hearing, take it to court. Old or unold. Now the court has dismissed a couple of them because they were old here lately.
What I read on those cases was that the court, their biggest point was that we didn't, number one, ask for additional time and state the reason why we need additional time, or we never even explained why it took additional time. So if we've got a case that's 5 years old and that we think that we still want to have a hearing on, or take to court or whatever, are we filing anything so that the judges know that, hey, we're still working on it, but these are some things that we've run into that's keeping us from doing it any quicker?
Since I started doing, the one case was dismissed because it was a failure to also to do the discovery. Well, it was nothing we could do to fix that. And then the other case that was dismissed by the court, we decided to let them go on and dismiss it because the respondent is dead. So it's nothing to file, on that. And the other case that was dismissed was because which I'm appealing one of them, they are alleging that we didn't give a reason for why we didn't do the probable cause in the time, not the case in the time. That it says that we have 100 days to find PC. I sent a letter saying why we can't find it in the 100 days. And the court says that we didn't give a reason.
How old was that case, Ms. McWilliams? Wasn't it less than 2 years old, the last one?
The one I just talked about?
Yeah.
I can't. I'd have to look through her to tell you which one it was.
I was thinking that, I know we still missed 100 days, but I don't believe that was one of the severely aged cases. But yet,
yeah, I had just taken over then, so I didn't get to appeal that one.
But yet the courts did refuse to hear it, which is concerning.
Yeah, it was. So they kind of hinted at 100 days, that we didn't do the 100 days in this Fincastle case, which is I'm appealing right now. Let me see which case that was. Keep looking, but right now I just can't think of which one it is. Oh, here it is. It's KCHR versus Scott's Property Management. And it's was in let's see when it was filed. It was filed in 2016. And they didn't find PC until March the 29th of 2019. So it was 4 years old.
4 years old, okay. I thought that there was one that was even less than that they refused recently to hear.
Now that was the only one that the court dismissed because we didn't give a reason. The other one, he just hinted at about the 100 days. So I'm feeling it.
Okay.
I would recommend that the report I did back in January, that's maybe Sandy or somebody could take that and kind of compare back to what you presented here, because I'm not sure that all the cases are here, or that all the updates are here.
What?
I'm not sure it's up to date with everything that I had in my report.
Well, these are the cases that were given to me by legal that they say that they have. And so whenever I've done something to them, I put the updated sentence. If the court is dismissing it, like in the particular case of Scott. I don't know any other cases that.
Can you have Sandy take a look at the report that I did and compare it back to what you guys show, so we make sure it's all there? I mean, I could do it. It's going to take a while to do it.
Yes, I can add that as an action item.
Okay, that'd be great. I do have a question for you, Ms. McWilliams, on page 3 of your report. The case at the bottom, number 1066 PA, public accommodation.
Which one?
1066 PA at the bottom of page 3.
Uh-huh.
So the next page says the current status. This matter needs to be set for mediation or hearing conducted by the AG's office or of administrative hearings. So do we know where, I mean, when's that going to be done? Do we know?
I tried to contact them about doing a mediation. I haven't, I didn't get a hold of, at least they haven't called me back yet. I left a message.
Yeah, that was set to go to hearing last August. And then it didn't. They said they were going to continue to work through it, conciliation. And here we are in the March, April, May timeframe, and it's still going. All right, that's all I have.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the court might have ordered the mediation, but I've contacted the attorney. I'll call him again.
All right.
I'm sorry, which case was that?
Showalter versus Eric Troyer, Troyer, and Triangle Trust.
Okay. Do you have any more questions regarding the legal report tonight? You have a motion to accept it?
You don't have to vote on the.
We don't have to? Okay. Thanks. All right. Advisory conciliation procedure under new business.
Yeah, I sent Commissioner Cummins an email, Commissioner, I don't know if you actually received it or not. One of the issues was in regards to the process and procedures of the when there's a conciliation agreement of one where the green case file is before the commission meeting and after the commission meeting, and also if there was wording in either our policies that indicate that the check that is the respondent gives, if there is clear indication of where the check should go, that it should come to this agency and be maintained by this agency until the commission board votes on the cases at the commission meeting. I sent Commissioner Cummings an email indicating that our policy specifically indicates where the case file is supposed to be and where it maintains and when it goes and when it leaves the legal unit. That's already in there. There is nothing in that policy or procedure that indicates anything about the check. However, there is in the conciliation agreements, the template of the conciliation agreement specifically says that the check is to be sent to the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights and maintained by the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights until you all vote on it. And so my question was to him, with those things being in place, and it's a matter of the procedure or process wasn't followed. It's not that it's not there, it wasn't followed. Did you all still want us to draft or create a new procedure or process?
Yeah, so I'll answer and then ask Rebecca to jump in if she'd like, since I kind of had that one there at the very end before Rebecca took over the committee. My preference would be that the enforcement unit and the legal unit have in their procedures that shows that that check is maintained with the green file on the legal side until the board approves that case is accepted, and then the check is then sent to the party that it's being set up for.
Now the check,
can I jump in for just?
The check is usually maintained in our safe. So it's not mailed to the legal unit, it's mailed to the agency, and we maintain the checks in our safe.
Okay.
So, but you want the check to go to the legal unit?
No, that's fine. If it's going to be in the safe, that's fine. Yes. But just the documentation needs to show that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Yeah, I think I jumped in. I was on the conference call and I jumped in, kind of out of nowhere. But I think the important thing is, Ms. Fox, is that, whether you all revise it or I think it needs to be, if you add to it or take away the way we discussed on our conference call in the agreement that we came up with, initially the call, everyone wasn't in agreement. And, we did something this way, or I was taught this way, and this, that. I think it's important to re-implement it and make sure everyone's on the same page, so that everyone's going to be held accountable for following these policies and these procedures. Now, whether it's something you already have in place or not, that's not the way in this case it was handled. So I think that it will be important for us to reestablish this as a whole when it comes to legal and enforcement and everything else in between.
Okay.
So I would still request for there either to be a revision or for you guys to submit something to us where all of the units are in agreement to these policies and procedures.
Yeah,
currently and not dictated based off of the past and how things were done, but being updated up to date now and how it's going to go on moving forward. I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah, and my only add to that is that once you guys update it, that it goes back through committee and Rebecca and the committee approve it. And Rebecca, I'm not sure what the policy or procedure should be for you guys, but maybe it needs to come back before the board and you just say, we've got an update for these procedures addressing this issue that occurred back in January or February, and this is the new process that's in, or this is the updated process that's in place.
Any more comments or concerns regarding this issue? Okay, commission bylaws, meal reimbursement is listed. Again, I'm a little confused on this one because it was my understanding from our previous meeting that we agreed to continue to adhere to the bylaws as they're currently written. Is there some confusion?
When I listened to the recording from our last meeting, what was said at the end of the when we were discussing this is that you all would keep doing the $8, $10, $18 reimbursement, and what was said as is in the bylaws. However, the 8, 10, 18 is not in the bylaws. What the bylaws say is that commissioners will be reimbursed for actual expenses, and that receipts will be provided over $10.
Right.
And so what was said last time is that we'll keep it at the 8, 10, 18 like the bylaws, but then we'll change it later on because of the expenses. I think what was said is that 1 cup of coffee costs $8 at the Brown. So, but I wanted to just clarify, and the reason I sent those things out is that the bylaws do not say that you all will be reimbursed at 8, 10, 18.
Right, right.
It indicated last
do we need a motion to correct that from last month?
You don't, because what you had, I just sent that out so that you understood that starting now, what we'll do is reimburse you all actual, or even from last, even though we're not traveling now, because I believe that what your intent was, is that you all go by what the bylaws said.
Right.
And the bylaws mention actual expenses in it. Then anything over $10, you get reimbursed. You have to provide a receipt. And it could be a credit card receipt, doesn't have to be, but it could be a credit card receipt. And if it's a credit card receipt, it has to be itemized.
But my question, Cynthia, is that since the minutes reflect that we stated that, do we not need to, well, I guess it would be clarified in the minutes for this month's meeting. We just need to have a record reflecting that you've clarified that was not the intent.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but I think from listening to the last meeting that the intent is that you all were going to go by what was currently in the bylaws.
Yeah.
And is current in the bylaws is that they're actual and not the 8.
But that's
10,
not my
8.
question. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
To revote, and you know, it's up to you, but I think it's clear that your intent was to go by what the initial bylaws were. It's up to you all.
I think we need to vote just to clarify that last month's meeting, when that motion was made, it was strictly to go by the bylaws, and that was in error when we made reference to the 8, 10, 18.
Oh, I see.
Does anyone disagree that? Hello?
Oh, I agree.
Okay, someone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Clarify.
Second.
Okay, who made the motion?
Oh, it's Adam.
Adam, okay. So Adam made the motion and it was seconded by Commissioner Coward.
Got it.
Thank you. Good catch.
You need to vote on it.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Agency social media enhancement.
He's not on here anymore.
He's
I
gone. Okay, we'll table it. Yeah, so he's gone. Okay. Committee reports, budget, Commissioner Smith.
The only report I have is we've received five bids or proposal requests. Brandon can correct my verbiage. And I've reviewed them. I don't really know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm looking at, but how do you choose? And so Commissioner Delaney Ellis and Commissioner Fuentes and Commissioner Rabbi, for some reason, they couldn't open the Google Drive with the documents. But anyway, Brandon, where are we with that process now? I've given you my input, but where are we with that process?
He's not on here.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
He's there.
I was trying to use keyboard.
Yeah.
I was trying to be fancy and use keyboard shortcuts to unmute.
Yeah.
So we have completed the evaluation, and the leading candidate is Dean Dorton.
Okay.
We'll be processing the contract in the coming days.
Okay. Good deal.
And if anyone would like to see their proposal, I can email it to them directly.
How much did we end? How much will it cost? I forgot.
They were actually the lowest cost, and their all-inclusive rate is $185 an hour.
And we've estimated how much it will cost again. Was it? I knew we have a range of 50,000. I thought, right?
Right. That was for the 5-year audit. This is a little different, and we don't have an estimate. We're going to meet with them. I think we're going to go try for Tuesday to discuss what we want their role to be and get an idea of the number of hours that they would foresee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the budget? All right. Operations, procedures, Commissioner Kuzak, you have anything to report?
No, I don't. The last meeting we had, Commissioner Cummins was heading up, but I don't have anything extra yet.
Okay. All right. We need to have a motion to go into closed session, please.
Hey, can I make a motion that we take a
To
quick break?
discuss personnel. Yes. Let's take a 10-minute break. So it's 10:58 now. So if we could be back at 11:08.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay.
They're easy on me today.
Cynthia.
Yes, ma'am.
What's up, Louis? Are you guys doing okay? I tell
Still
you,
looks like we still look like the Brady Bunch, you know.
oh my
just
God,
all like
the Brady Bunch. I always hated being Jan because I'm a middle child, and you already know how middle child gets treated. But so if in this reality, can I not be Jan? Hey, you know what? The chair was going to talk to something about me to you, and I don't know if she did. So can you and I make some time to talk? We don't have to today because I just asked my husband if he could take care of something else for me. And then I'm like, well, you can have the tougher thing at 2 o'clock if you want. You know, I'm asking you to do one simple thing. So I may be too tired to talk today, but maybe tomorrow.
okay.
Please. It's just advice, that's all.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you. No, I'm okay. Go ahead.
Waiting for 4 to sign on, and we'll need a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel related matters.
I move that we go into closed session to discuss personnel matters.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Can I add to that motion before we
Yes.
pass it? Do we also need to discuss this sprinkles versus easy auto sales?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Okay. So if staff would just, and I will, I'll text Brandon, Cynthia, when we're ready to come out, so everyone can come back on. Okay.
I am stopping the YouTube stream.